Nicole, welcome back. So grateful to have you here for our second C2 conversation where we explore intentional beauty through sound. But before we get started, let me first give you all a little more insight into the wisdom of Nicole Gibbs. As an EEG technologist and creator of our C2 I Am My Strongest Self sound healing collection, Nicole bridges science and soul in the most grounded, accessible way. She shows us how specific frequencies work with the brain and nervous system, gently guiding us towards calm, clarity, and deep restoration. Because beauty isn't accidental. It's created, curated, chosen. And sound, it's one of the most powerful ways we can intentionally shape our internal world. This conversation will change the way you experience sound and yourself. So let's get comfortable, soften your shoulders, and let beauty meet you through your ears. Again, welcome, Nicole. This is the week 20 of our C2 call. I'm so glad to have you back.
Thank you.
Thanks. Let's begin with this idea of intentional beauty. But please, anyone that's on the line is welcome to unmute and ask a question. I'll do my best to keep us on track for the next 20 minutes or so. We often think of beauty as something we see, but today we're exploring beauty as something we hear and something that shapes our internal state. So I'd love to open here with this question to Nicole. When you think about intentional beauty through the lens of sound, what does that mean to you? And how can sound be something we consciously design rather than passively just consume?
Thank you so much for that question. I really appreciate it. So, yeah, I'm excited to get into this topic as well as just in general. Consciously designing sound, we can shift from a passive hearing to actively engaging and using sound as a tool to shift your emotional and functional states rather than just background noise. We can intentionally use personalized sounds to promote the calm states, to enhance productivity, or even evoke specific memories. So for me, using sound really is how I set my intentions, set my tones for the day or throughout the day, can use it as a tool to get back on track. So sound is one of my biggest tools in my toolbox that I am excited to share about more.
Thank you for that. And maybe we can just back it up just a little. I know not everybody was on the call the last time, but from an EEG perspective, what actually happens in the brain when we're exposed to those certain frequencies? Like, how do those frequencies influence brainwave states like alpha and theta? I know you're just such a font of knowledge with all of this, so I just always love hearing the science and all the things behind it.
Absolutely. Yes, that is the most fascinating thing, because a lot of this, when you think of frequency vibration, it's something you can't really see. And so it makes it a little confusing to understand from that point. Yeah. So if I always like to relate it to antennas and, frequencies, we have our Wi-Fi, we have all these things that are frequencies all around us that are giving us something physical that we can see. So with this, it's somewhat similar, where from an EEG perspective, being exposed to specific frequencies, auditory beats, repetitive sounds, things like that, or even the electromagnetic field, it causes the neural populations in the brain to synchronize with the electrical activity stimulus. So this is also called frequency following response. What that means is the brain, it's very much a pattern recognition thing. So the brain's electrical oscillations, which we call brain waves, moving up and down in a sine wave, they change from spontaneous rhythm to a more intentional matching the frequency of the frequency that you're listening to. So you can be listening to something in alpha, which is 8 to 13 waves per second, and that will give you calming sensation, reduces stress, eases anxiety. Then you can shift even into a delta theta state. These are all just different amount of waves per second, and each of those states of mind create a whole new sense of being, emotions, feelings. And so we can use sound literally as a tool to create these oscillations in the brain that the brain then follows within. It literally just is like a pattern. If you listen to it, your brain waves will also synchronize to that. So the different patterns link to different states. Do you want me to go into that a little more? So delta.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, maybe go into those, like, because I can
go into each one.
Yeah, that would be great.
Beautiful. Yes. So delta is what we consider our slowest pattern. It's not even a full wave to 4 waves per second. And this is seen when we're in a deep sleep, when we're sleeping in our deepest stage. But also if you, on an abnormal side, if you have this delta pattern when you're awake, that could be indicative of possible learning disability. And so there's different states and patterns that is the normal given your age and your state of mind. And then you have theta, which is 4 to 8 waves per second. This is the meditation sweet spot for daydreaming, for bringing manifestations. It is also related to sleep. This is like a light sleep, but you can also have a meditative mindset that'll also bring on this theta pattern within the brain. So it's also seen in light sleep, but also you can mimic with a meditation, thing like that. So we also have alpha then. We hear about alpha all the time.
Yeah.
7 to 13 waves per second. And we hear this one the most because it's more of, it kind of bridges the gap between like our conscious thinking and our subconscious mind, if that makes sense. So it's seen when we're relaxed, but we're awake, but we could be daydreaming, but with our eyes closed. You always have to have the eyes closed there. So you do see this when we're awake, but you're intentional. So you're focused. And so alpha is a good state to be in when you're trying to kind of decide things in your life. And then we have faster beta pattern, 14 to 30 waves per second, which is very fast, which is also seen in awake states and can be linked to logical thinking, conscious thought, things like that. But if we have too much beta, if your brain is in a beta mode when you're not consciously thinking and it's just very fast, this has actually directly a conscious anxiety, stress, and energy. So when it's not being intentional, it can be, I don't want to say harmful. It can be uncomfortable. Somewhat, yeah.
Somewhat harmful.
Yes, it can be. So let me see. I have, and then it goes up to gamma, but we don't really see gamma so much in our states here. We've seen it, supposedly monks meditating have together created a very fast gamma frequency, but it's all related to different states of mind. And so if you're in a beta high frequency state and you're feeling anxious and nervous, you can now use sound as a tool to bring you from a beta to a more theta meditative calming state. So you can kind of use the sound as a tool to move your intention and your mind, and all of this kind of goes obviously into the nervous system, which we can get into next. So I hope that made sense with how the brain reacts to different frequencies. We're always vibrating in different frequencies. We're always in a pattern, whether it's slower or faster. It's a direct effect of what you're seeing, what you're feeling, what your emotions are. Everything is your pattern within. And so if you're feeling that way, whether you want to intentionally feel a certain way or not, we can use the frequencies to get us back into a different state of mind and different state of being.
It's so fascinating. It's so layered too. And you did such a great job explaining those frequencies, those levels. Thank you for that. And I know you started to
So,
talk a little bit about the nervous system. And so,
yeah.
how does the nervous system interpret sound? And like, why can certain tones immediately calm us while others create stress or agitation?
Right. Yeah. So this is so perfect for what I was just kind of going into,
Yeah.
because the nervous system, it is directly, I mean, our body is a one synchronized um, machine, if you will. So when the nervous system is calm, and it interprets sound by when the sound comes in through electrical signals, it comes through our ears via the cochlea hairs in our ears. And so then that vibration, it goes to the brain's auditory cortex, and the different pitches or rhythms or tones, they stimulate the amygdala. And that is what we immediately assess threat or calm. So the
Mm.
parasympathetic, the fight or flight, or the calm rest digest systems. So the nervous system is directly involved every time. I mean, it's not even every time, constantly sound is coming in, and the hairs in our ears are picking up this electrical vibrations, and they're trying to, assess, what is that? Is it, am I safe? Am I not? And this is something ongoing all the time. And so we can use that. You really have to be in tune with your emotions and feelings,
Right,
because
right.
when you are able to
Switch it.
quickly identify
Mhm.
what you might need, or when you're not in a stable state. So calming tones, low frequency, slow tempo, it directly reduces the heart rate, it reduces stress, it produces stress hormones. And so it directly has the effect of different tones. High frequency, sudden noises create, anxiety, they trigger cortisol, they tighten your muscles. And so it really does have a direct effect of the tones that are coming in that we're intentionally focusing on.
So amazing. And I also wonder, why doesn't like an hospital, like emergency room, or when you go to the dentist,
Mhm.
why
Right.
why don't they just give you a set of headphones to just chill you
They don't.
out? Like
Yes.
why isn't that or
They did that in the 1800s for soldiers in hospitals, playing
they
sound
did?
frequency, and they had amazing turnarounds of the impact. But I think that's the thing, is they know the impact, and that's kind of the opposite of the agenda. But we know the tool, so we can use it.
Right, right. I just find it so like it just seems like such an easy fix,
Right. Absolutely. I mean, when I worked in the many hospitals around, there was several family members that will put on music for their loved ones,
Yep,
especially in comas. We would see direct effect
yep.
of
Oh,
them
wow.
having just finger movements, just little things that we wouldn't even detect at all if there was no stimulation to
Right.
have. So yeah, the music is everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, and I guess, specifically, like if someone is struggling with sleep, anxiety, focus, like what's
Hmm.
happening neurologically with that? And how can intentional sound support? I know you talked a little bit about it, but maybe just a little bit more
Hmm.
specific, can support that regulation and recovery.
Right. So when someone's struggling with sleep, anxiety, or focusing, the brain is often trapped in a high arousal, that sympathetic fight or flight state. And so it's dominated by a fast beta frequency and elevated cortisol, higher heart rate, faster heart rate. I mean, this
Yeah.
leads to anxiety. It disrupts our sleep. We have poor focus, and that's often accompanied by that increased activity in the amygdala. So that's our emotional reaction. So to reduce the control from the prefrontal cortex, it's all connected. So the sound supports the brain waves by, it's kind of like an entrainment, the brain entrainment. I'm sure you've heard that, the frequency following. The vagus nerve actually picks up the stimulation as well and shifts the nervous system to that rest
Mm.
and digest parasympathetic. So it all works as one good old oil machine when we're intentional about, when you notice the fight or flight come in, we can also use breath as a thing too, but breath is
Right.
also sound because it's tempo. It's
Yeah.
different frequencies. So all of it is really, what state are you in? What state of frequency are you in? We're always in different frequencies. So we can
And
use
what
that sound.
and what I've heard you say kind of over um, the last each time is like when you are aware of what you are feeling,
Hmm.
that's you can either, amplify more of that, or you can, try to create a more calm state, or a restful state, or, and you can do that easily through sound, moving through sound.
That's right. Yes. The
Mhm.
intention and the awareness is the key there, because like we were saying before, how many of us are walking around and not even noticing the little things? And so,
Right.
but for us, we notice, so we can notice those little things and use it, even though others aren't paying attention or being aware. It's always around us, so we can be aware and use it as a tool.
Um, and then, for our community that's listening today, and then hopefully on the recording, um, what's like one practical way we can begin using sound more strategically in our daily lives? Like, as a tool for alignment, like we just talked about, rather than just background noise.
Hmm. Yes, I actually have something new and exciting that I learned
Ooh,
recently that goes right into this. But first, I wanted to say the a good word that we keep hearing, the nervous system regulation,
yep.
coherence,
Coherence,
like
yep.
all of that coherence is the brain and the nervous systems. Everything is just synchronized, working together. The heart, the brain, the nervous system, they're in harmony, working together. So the sound, it naturally syncs those frequencies together.
Mm,
It's like a rhythm they already know, and we're getting them right back into that rhythm that's natural, if that makes sense, instead
yep.
of a chaotic rhythm. So just like the heart can sync with a steady pulse, the brain can entrain waves to external rhythms like drums, gongs, chanting, stuff like that. So you can move from a high stress beta to a calmer alpha theta. Okay, so what I recently learned, it's called sonic anchoring.
Okay.
And sonic anchoring is going to be a tool that you can use to it's like using sound cues to shift your mental states. So you can, instead of using just like having random background sound in the background, you assign a specific sound to a specific habit. So you
Huh.
can train the brain to associate that sound to a specific mental state, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So here's an example. You have maybe like a brown noise or a white noise or something, rain, something, a sound that maybe resonates with you. And use a like 5-minute sound, Tibetan bowls, chimes, something like that, to immediately shift your state to that stressed to a relaxed state in a break. And so you can use that track to signal the brain that whatever you're looking for, that the workday's over, that you're looking to
Oh,
transition into
yeah.
rest mode, that you're looking to, I don't know, just things like that. Use these sounds to trigger the brain, because
Anchor, like you
it's
said.
called, yes, exactly. It's called Pavlovian response. And over
Hmm.
time, hearing the sound causes the body to
You just do
automatically
it
shift into that
automatically.
state. Yes, and it doesn't need that extra willpower. So over time, the consistent, familiar sounds, the
Wow.
brain doesn't waste energy from processing new information. It already knows. It knows what to do. It knows the rhythm, the pattern, the habit. So you can use these sounds to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, lower your stress. Just find a sound, a tone, a song, something, a lo-fi track, whatever. Play it down when you sit down, when you do a task, something like that. Every time, though. And you can
Yes.
really trigger that specific habit and train your brain.
So if you had, for example, if you had trouble sleeping, you could put on like a track that's just waves crashing. And
Correct.
you do that all the time, every time when you want to sleep. And then over
Yes.
time, it's just an automatic response. Like you said,
Yes.
it creates,
Yes.
or the other idea would be if you really want to focus on something for the next hour, you could just,
Mm-hmm.
do you just pick like any sound that just that you find uh, what's the word I'm looking for? That you find pleasant, or
Yeah.
are there certain sounds that would help focus, or is it, I don't know.
I know what you're saying. Yes and
Yeah.
no. The main thing is it needs to be that specific sound or track or whatever that noise is for that specific thing each time. So you're not using the same like ocean waves to initiate
Right.
sleep or to do all the different things. But I feel like just resonating with the sound in general is the biggest part. It doesn't have to be specific because we all resonate differently.
Right. Right.
But
It's just more just your intention that you put towards it, maybe.
yes, and then
Right.
you'll easily be able to. It's literally like magic. You just drop right into that state without any effort. You'll fall
Mm.
asleep quickly. You'll be able to focus more at an optimal state, things like that. So it's literally just triggering the brain with you're assigning a sound to that habit, essentially.
Wow. So incredible. Sound Inc.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm watching the clock. We have about 4 minutes before we close. I wish I could, I don't know if anybody, it's hard to tell on this call if anybody has any questions. I'm sure you guys do. Um, you know, I just wanted to just say thank you, Nicole, for sharing this insight with us today. There's so much more to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go over to her site at awakeningmassmeditations.com because there's so much more there. She's really a trusted source for real science-based sound healings. There's a lot of stuff out there online, and she's my go-to because I know everything that she has created and developed is not only just with a science, but there's her soul behind it as well, and the beautiful intention that she puts into everything. So thank you, Nicole. And
Thank you.
a little plug too, every week we feature her free C2 sound healing collection. So if you guys are ever like, oh, I want something, you can just search on the Substack even for stillness or surrender, intentional beauty, self-care, and you could listen for a snippet of that, or the full 30 minutes too. So really, 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 really grateful to you, Nicole. And unfortunately,
Thank you so much.
I think we don't have time for questions, but if anyone has anything, they can always put them on the Substack. I think there's comments there, and Nicole, we can talk that way there too as well. So
Absolutely.
again, thank you so